coins are often dismissed as small change, things we jingle in our pockets and forget. But in the Philippines, one humble coin carries a century of struggle, identity, reform, and pride. Today, we are exploring the fascinating evolution of the Philippine One Piso Coin, a journey that begins with the 1977 Jose Rizal silver coin and ends with the modern bimetallic one Piso used by millions of Filipinos every single day. This is not just the story of metal and minting. This is the story of Jose Rizal, nationalism, inflation, economic survival, and how a country reshaped its currency to meet a changing world. So grab a seat, because this coin has a story worth telling. Before we talk about coins, we must talk about Jose Rizal. Jose Rizal is not just a national hero, he is the soul of Filipino identity. A doctor, writer, poet, and revolutionary thinker. Rizal's words inspired a nation to awaken from colonial rule. His execution by Spanish authorities in 1896 became the spark that ignited the Philippine Revolution. From that moment on, Rizal became immortal, not in stone statues alone, but in currency, where every Filipino could carry his legacy. This is why Rizal appears again and again on Philippine coins, and why the 1977 silver coin became such a landmark issue. Why 1977 was important. The year 1977 marked the 15th anniversary of the Banco Central in Pilipinas, and also a period when the Philippines was actively promoting national pride through currency design. To honor Jose Rizal in a dignified way, the government issued a commemorative silver coin, striking, heavy, and symbolic metal composition. Unlike everyday circulation coins, this piece was made of silver, immediately separating it from ordinary money. A high silver purity, a proof-like or brilliant uncirculated finishes, are intended mainly for collectors, not daily use. This alone tells us something important. Rizal's image was considered worthy of precious metal, not base alloys. Design features. On the obverse, we see a dignified portrait of Jose Rizal, calm yet powerful. A fine detailing in the hair, coat, and facial expression. On the reverse, national symbols of the Philippines. A denomination clearly marked. An elegant typography reflecting 1970s design aesthetics. This coin wasn't loud. It was respectful, scholarly, and symbolic, just like Rizal himself. As beautiful as silver coins were, they had a problem. By the late 1970s and early 1980s, as silver prices were rising, inflation was creeping into the economy. A hoarding became common. People started saving silver coins instead of spending them. This created a paradox. A coin meant to circulate was too valuable to use. Governments around the world faced the same issue, and the Philippines was no exception. The solution? Move away from precious metals and redesign the peso for practicality. After the 1977 silver issue, Philippine peso coins underwent major changes. Economic reality. The peso needed to be affordable to mint, resist counterfeiting, survive heavy daily use. This led to aluminum bronze, copper nickel alloys, eventually multi-metal solutions. Rizal's portrait remained, but the material changed. The message shifted from prestige to accessibility. By the late 1990s and early 2000s, the Philippine economy faced a new challenge: coin differentiation and security. Enter the bimetallic One Piso coin. Why bimetallic? Bimetallic coins offer enhanced security, a distinct appearance, a better durability, a resistance to counterfeiting. They also signal modernity. Many countries, including the Eurozone, adopted bimetallic coins for high-value denominations. The Philippines joined this global trend. Obverse, Jose Rizal returns. Once again, Jose Rizal takes center stage. But this time, the portrait is sharper. The lines are modern. The expression is more assertive. This is not the soft academic Rizal of silver coins. This is Rizal as a national icon for a modern republic. Metal composition. Inner core, nickel brass. Outer ring, stainless steel. This contrast creates a visual depth, a tactile distinction, a easy recognition, even by touch. Reverse design. The reverse typically features the denomination 1 peso, the seal of Banco Central in Pilipinas, a clean, modern fonts. Everything about the coin says efficiency and confidence. Unlike the 1977 silver coin, the bimetallic 1 peso was meant to be used. You'll find it in jeepney fairs, in sari-sari stores, in school canteens, in everyday transactions. This coin connects Rizal's legacy to daily Filipino life. Every time it changes hands, history moves with it. No coin redesign comes without criticism. Some Filipinos felt the new coin looked too similar to other denominations. Early versions were easy to confuse. Others welcomed the modern look, improved durability, international level design. Over time, the bimetallic 1 peso earned acceptance, not because it was perfect, but because it worked. 1977 Jose Rizal silver coin. Today, this coin is a highly collectible, valued for silver content, sought after in proof condition. Auction prices depend on a condition, a packaging, a certification. For collectors, it represents a lost era of precious metal currency. Bimetallic 1 peso. While common today, mint errors, early issues, uncirculated rolls, are becoming collectible. What seems ordinary now may become rare tomorrow. From silver to steel, from collectible to circulation. The Philippine One Piso tells a deeper story. A nation adapting to economic reality. A hero remaining constant through change. A currency evolving with society. Jose Rizal didn't disappear when silver did. He adapted, just like the Philippines itself. The next time you hold a 1 peso coin, remember this. It is not just money. It is history in your hand. From the elegance of the 1977 Jose Rizal silver coin to the resilience of the modern bimetallic peso, this coin carries a sacrifice, a identity, a progress, and that makes it and flags. But sometimes, the most powerful stories are told quietly, through objects we touch every day. In the Philippines, one such object is the 1 peso coin, a small piece of currency that carries the face of the country's greatest national hero, Dr. Jose Rizal. This is not just the story of a coin. This is the story of ideas, sacrifice, and a nation that found its voice. Long before the Banco Central in Pilipinas existed, long before modern coin presses and bimetallic designs, the Philippines was a colony under Spanish rule. For more than 3 centuries, Filipino identity was suppressed, controlled, and reshaped by colonial power. Yet, from this environment emerged a man whose words would ignite a revolution, not through violence, but through thought. Jose Rizal was born in 1861 in Calamba, Laguna. He was a scholar, a physician, a linguist, and most importantly, a writer. Rizal believed that education was the foundation of freedom. His novels, Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo, exposed corruption, abuse, and injustice under Spanish colonial rule. These books were banned, yet they spread rapidly, awakening a national consciousness among Filipinos. Rizal never led armies. He never carried a rifle. But the Spanish authorities feared him more than any rebel leader. In 1896, he was executed by firing squad. His death shocked the nation and transformed him into a symbol of peaceful resistance and intellectual revolution. After independence, the Philippines sought ways to honor this legacy, and one of the most enduring tributes came through its currency. Rizal's appearance on Philippine coins began decades before the modern era. In 1974, during the Ang Bagong Lipunan coin series, Rizal was featured on the 1 peso coin, symbolizing unity, reform, and national identity during a politically complex period in Philippine history. These early coins were simple in design, struck in a single metal, and reflected the technological limitations of the time. Yet they carried deep meaning. A coin is passed from hand to hand. It reaches every citizen, rich or poor, urban or rural. By placing Rizal on the peso, the government ensured that his image, and what he stood for, would remain part of everyday life. As the decades passed, the Philippines changed. The economy evolved, technology advanced, and the nation stepped confidently into the globalized world. By the late 1990s, there was a growing need for a modern coinage system, one that was durable, secure, and aligned with international standards. That moment arrived in the year 2000. In 2000, the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, established in 1993, introduced a new coin series designed to reflect modern Philippine identity while preserving historical continuity. At the heart of this series was the 1 Cuban peso coin featuring Jose Rizal, now redesigned with a bimetallic structure, a first for Philippine coinage. The decision to use a bimetallic design was both practical and symbolic. Around the world, bimetallic coins were used for higher denomination currency due to their durability and resistance to counterfeiting. For the Philippines, it was also a statement. The nation was modern, forward-looking, yet deeply rooted in its past. The 1 Cuban peso bimetallic coin combined two different metals, an outer ring made of nickel brass, and an inner core composed of copper nickel. The contrast between the metals made the coin visually distinctive and instantly recognizable. At the center of the coin stood Jose Rizal. The obverse side of the 1 Cuban peso coin features a dignified portrait of Dr. Jose Rizal. His expression is calm yet resolute, reflecting intelligence, courage, and quiet strength. Surrounding his image is the inscription Republica ng Pilipinas, affirming national sovereignty and independence. This portrait is not aggressive or dramatic. Instead, it mirrors Rizal's philosophy that true change begins with awareness, education, and moral courage. The reverse side displays the denomination 1 Cuban peso, along with the official seal of the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, and the year of minting. The design is clean, balanced, and functional, emphasizing clarity and trust in the country's monetary system. Every detail of the coin was carefully chosen. The metals, the size, the weight, and even the sound it makes when dropped, all were designed to meet international minting standards while remaining distinctly Filipino. Beyond its physical features, the bimetallic 1 Cuban peso coin carries deep symbolic meaning. The two metals represent unity through diversity, a nation composed of many cultures, languages, and histories, yet bound together by shared values. In many ways, this reflects Rizal himself, a Filipino educated abroad, fluent in multiple languages, yet unwavering in his love for his homeland. The coin also symbolizes continuity. From the early Rizal coins of the 1970s to the modern BSP series, the message remains the same: ideas matter, education empowers, and peaceful reform can change history. When the bimetallic 1 Cuban peso coin entered circulation, it quickly became part of everyday life. It passed through jeepney fairs, market stalls, school canteens, and vending machines. Millions of Filipinos handled the coin daily, often without noticing the weight of history it carried. And that is perhaps its greatest strength. Unlike statues or textbooks, coins are intimate objects. They live in pockets and wallets. They are exchanged, saved, spent, and sometimes forgotten. Yet through this constant movement, they silently preserve national memory. For many Filipinos, the 1 Cuban peso coin was their first introduction to Jose Rizal, not through books, but through currency. From a collector's perspective, the Philippine 1 Cuban peso bimetallic coin holds modest but growing interest. Most circulated examples retain only face value, especially those heavily worn through daily use. However, collectors seek uncirculated specimens, early year issues, and mint errors. Error coins, such as off-center strikes, mismatched cores, or weakly bonded rings, can command higher prices in the numismatic market. Coins preserved in mint condition, especially from the early 2000s, are increasingly difficult to find as circulation where takes its toll. For numismatists, the coin represents an important milestone: the Philippines' entry into modern bimetallic coinage. Over time, the BSP introduced updated designs and eventually phased out older coin series. Yet the Rizal 1 Cuban peso coin remains deeply embedded in the collective memory of the Filipino people. It represents a bridge between past and present, between colonial struggle and modern nationhood, between a man who died for ideas and a nation that continues to live by them. Today, as digital payments rise and physical currency slowly declines, coins like the 1 Cuban peso remind us of something essential. History does not always shout. Sometimes, it whispers, through metal, weight, and worn edges. Jose Rizal once wrote that the youth is the hope of the nation. By placing his image on the most commonly used coin, the Philippines ensured that his presence would endure, not only in classrooms and ceremonies, but in everyday life. So the next time you hold a Philippine One Piso coin, pause for a moment. Look at the face engraved at its center. Remember that this small coin carries the legacy of a man whose ideas helped shape a nation. Because sometimes, the greatest stories are told. Rarely stop to think about them. They are passed from hand to hand, day after day, without a second glance. They live in pockets, wallets, drawers, and cash registers. They buy food, pay fares, and settle small debts. Yet sometimes, these ordinary objects carry extraordinary stories. In the Philippines, one such object is the 1 Piso coin. Small in size, simple in function, yet heavy with meaning. Because engraved into this coin is not just metal, but memory. Not just value, but vision. Not just currency, but country. At its center stands the face of a man who never ruled, never commanded an army, and never wore a crown. A man who changed a nation with words. Dr. Jose Rizal. Before the coin, the country. Long before the 1 Piso coin entered circulation, the Philippines was still defining itself. Centuries of colonial rule had shaped its economy, culture, and identity. Spanish coins once dominated trade. American-era currency followed. Each regime left its mark, not only on politics, but on money itself. Currency was never neutral. It always reflected power. Whoever controlled money controlled messaging. Faces on coins told people who mattered. Symbols revealed who ruled. When the Philippines gained independence, the question arose: what should Filipino money represent? The answer was clear. Not kings, not colonizers, not conquerors, but Filipinos themselves. And above all, the man who awakened the Filipino mind. Jose Rizal. The man who changed history without a sword. Jose Rizal was born in 1861, during a time when Filipinos had little voice and limited freedom. But Rizal possessed something revolutionary: education. He studied medicine, philosophy, and literature. He traveled across Europe. He spoke multiple languages. But instead of abandoning his homeland, he wrote about it. Through his novels, Rizal exposed injustice. He revealed corruption. He questioned authority. His pen became a weapon more powerful than guns. The colonial government feared him, not because he fought battles, but because he changed how people thought. In 1896, Rizal was executed by firing squad. But history did something unexpected. His death did not end his influence. It multiplied it. Rizal became a symbol of peaceful resistance, national consciousness, and moral courage. A hero for all generations. And eventually, a hero worthy of a place on the nation's most widely used coin. The rise of Banco Central in Pilipinas. As the Philippines modernized, so did its financial system. The creation of Banco Central in Pilipinas, BSP, marked a new era. BSP wasn't just responsible for managing inflation and stability. It was responsible for identity. Every coin it issued would represent the nation to its own people, and to the world. When designing coin series, BSP followed a principle. Currency should educate as it circulates. Coins should tell stories. They should preserve heritage. They should remind citizens of shared values. That philosophy shaped the modern 1 Piso coin series. Why Rizal on the 1 Piso? The 1 Piso coin is one of the most commonly used coins in the Philippines. It moves fast. It changes hands constantly. That made it the perfect platform for national symbolism. Putting Rizal on a rarely used coin would limit his reach. But putting him on the 1 Piso ensured something powerful. Every Filipino, regardless of status, would interact with their national hero daily. In markets, on jeepneys, at sari-sari stores, in schools. Rizal would not remain distant or historical. He would be present, every day. The bimetallic design. One of the most striking features of the modern 1 Piso coin is its bimetallic construction. Two metals, 2 colors. 1 coin. This design serves multiple purposes. First, durability. Bimetallic coins last longer than single metal coins. Second, security. They are harder to counterfeit. But third, and most important, symbolism. The dual metal structure reflects the Philippines itself, a nation shaped by multiple influences, a blend of tradition and modernity, East and West, past and future. At the center sits Rizal, symbolizing unity, intellect, and national conscience. Around him, the outer ring represents the Filipino people, diverse, strong, and interconnected. Artistic choices and details. Rizal's portrait on the coin is carefully chosen. He is not shown as a warrior, not as a martyr in pain, not as a politician. He is shown as a thinker, calm, composed, focused. This is intentional. The coin communicates that real power comes from ideas, education, and moral clarity. The typography is clean and modern. The edges are precise. The minting reflects advanced technology. Everything about the coin speaks to balance, respecting history while embracing progress. The coin in everyday life. Unlike commemorative coins locked away in collections, the 1 peso coin lives in motion. It rides in jeepneys. It falls into vending machines. It stacks in piggy banks. Children learn to count with it. Workers rely on it. Vendors depend on it. Over time, it becomes invisible. But invisibility does not erase importance. In fact, it strengthens it. Because the more a symbol is used, the deeper it embeds itself into daily consciousness. Rizal doesn't lecture from textbooks alone. He quietly reminds Filipinos who they are, one transaction at a time. Myths and misconceptions. Many people mistakenly refer to Rizal as John Rizal. A misunderstanding rooted in naming conventions and translations. His real name was Jose Rizal. The confusion highlights something important. Coins often become conversation starters. They prompt curiosity. They invite questions. Who is this person? Why is he here? What does he represent? In that sense, the 1 peso coin continues Rizal's mission, educating the public. Collectability and variations. While most 1 peso coins are common, collectors pay attention to a minting years, a condition, errors, a limited releases. Uncirculated coins hold more value than worn ones. Misprints or off-center strikes can attract numismatic interest. However, the true value of the coin lies beyond the market. It lies in meaning. The coin as a national mirror. Money reflects priorities. When a nation chooses to place a thinker on its currency, it sends a message. It says, we value education. We honor ideas. We remember sacrifice. The Philippines chose Rizal not because he conquered, but because he questioned. Not because he ruled, but because he inspired. The 1 peso coin becomes a mirror of Filipino ideals. A coin that outlives generations. Coins last longer than paper bills. They survive decades of circulation. That means Rizal's face will pass through generations, parents, children, and grandchildren. Each generation may see him differently. A hero, a writer, a historical figure, a symbol, but always a reminder. Final reflection. The next time you hold a 1 peso coin, pause. Look at it. Feel its weight. Notice its colors. Study the face at its center. You are not holding just money. You are holding a story of resistance, a lesson in identity, a reminder that ideas shape nations. Because sometimes, the smallest objects carry the biggest histories. And sometimes, a coin can tell the story of an entire of a nation's struggle, identity, and pride. Not a banknote, not a monument, but a coin you've probably held in your hand without a second thought. Today, we are diving deep into the fascinating history of the Philippine 1 peso coin, tracing its journey from the 1978 Jose Rizal 1 peso coin to the modern bimetallic peso we see today. This is not just a story about metal and minting. This is a story about Jose Rizal, colonial rule, revolution, inflation, national symbolism, and how money quietly evolves alongside history. So sit back, because by the end of this video, you'll never look at the Philippine 1 peso coin the same way again. To understand the 1978 1 peso coin, we first need context. The Philippine peso has one of the most complex monetary histories in Southeast Asia. Before independence, the Philippines used Spanish colonial coinage, followed by American-issued pesos after the United States took control in 1898. Under American rule, the peso was closely tied to the US dollar, both in value and design philosophy. Coins were silver, heavy, and formal, often featuring allegorical figures rather than Filipino heroes. After independence in 1946, the Philippines faced a critical challenge. How do you build a national identity through money? The answer came slowly and deliberately. If any figure deserves to appear on Philippine currency, it is Dr. Jose Rizal. Rizal was not a general. He was not a politician. He never led an army. Yet his words ignited a revolution. Born in 1861, Jose Rizal was a writer, physician, and nationalist whose novels, Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo, exposed the abuses of Spanish colonial rule. His execution in 1896 turned him into a martyr, and a symbol of peaceful resistance and intellectual revolution. By the 1970s, placing Rizal on circulating currency was no longer symbolic, it was essential. The 1 peso denomination was chosen carefully, a coin used daily by ordinary people, not locked away in banks or collections. In 1978, the Banco Central in Pilipinas introduced a redesigned 1 peso coin, prominently featuring Jose Rizal. Key specifications: 1978 issue. A denomination, 1 peso. A material, copper nickel. A shape, round. A edge, reeded. A diameter, approximately 24 millimeters. A weight, around 6 grams. Obverse design. The obverse features a dignified left-facing portrait of Jose Rizal. Realistic and calm, not heroic in an exaggerated way, but thoughtful, scholarly, and human. Below or beside the portrait appears his name, Jose Rizal. This design choice matters. Rizal is not shown as a warrior, he is shown as a thinker. That reflects how the Philippines views its national hero. Reverse design. The reverse typically shows the denomination 1 peso, the seal of the Banco Central in Pilipinas, the year of minting. Simple, functional, authoritative. This coin wasn't flashy, it was serious, just like the era it came from. The 1978 1 peso coin was released during a turbulent time. The Philippines was under martial law, declared by President Ferdinand Marcos in 1972. Inflation was rising, public trust was strained, and economic pressures were mounting. Coinage during this period had to balance a cost efficiency, a durability, a symbolic reassurance. Copper nickel was chosen not for beauty, but for practicality. The Rizal peso became a workhorse coin, circulating heavily in markets, jeepney fares, and daily trade. Unlike commemorative coins, the 1978 Rizal 1 peso wasn't meant to be admired. It was meant to be used. And used it was. For many Filipinos, this coin became a school allowance, a fair payment, a market bargaining tool. Entire generations grew up hearing the clink of Rizal's face in their pockets. This emotional familiarity is why the Rizal design endured for decades. As the years passed, the Philippine economy changed, and so did its coinage. By the late 1980s and 1990s, inflation reduced the purchasing power of the peso. Heavier coins became expensive to produce. Counterfeiting concerns increased. The solution was redesign, not replacement. Rizal stayed. But the coin changed. In the early 2000s, the Philippines introduced a bimetallic 1 peso coin, marking a major shift in design and security. What is a bimetallic coin? A bimetallic coin is made of 2 different metals, usually, or an inner core, or an outer ring. This design is harder to counterfeit and visually distinct. Modern 1 peso composition. Outer ring, nickel brass. Inner core, copper nickel. This instantly gave the 1 peso a premium feel, despite its modest value. Even as the metal changed, one thing stayed constant. Jose Rizal remained on the obverse. The modern bimetallic 1 peso features a sharper, more modern portrait of Rizal, a cleaner typography, are enhanced minting precision. This continuity sends a powerful message. Governments may change. Economies may fluctuate. But national heroes endure. The bimetallic 1 peso wasn't just about aesthetics. It addressed real problems. A vending machine recognition. A counterfeit resistance. A lower long-term production costs. The coin's two-tone appearance makes it easy to identify, even for the visually impaired. Function meets symbolism, the hallmark of modern coinage. Now let's talk numismatics. 1978 Jose Rizal 1 peso. A circulated, common, low value. A uncirculated, moderate collector interest. A proof or mint sets, higher value. Typical prices today. A circulated, face value or slightly above. A UNC, $2 to $5 depending on condition. A proofs, higher, especially complete sets. Bimetallic 1 peso. A still circulating. A minimal collector premium and less. Era coins. Early mint years. A perfect uncirculated examples. The real value isn't monetary, it's historical. Let's clear up a few myths. All Rizal peso coins are rare. No, most are very common. Bimetallic coins are commemorative. False, they are circulation coins. Older means more valuable. Condition matters more than age. Knowledge is what turns pocket change into insight. Beyond economics, the 1 peso coin reflects Filipino values. Education, Rizal the scholar. A peaceful resistance. A national pride. Few countries consistently place a writer and thinker on their lowest major denomination. That choice says a lot. From the solid copper nickel. 1978 Jose Rizal 1 peso 2. The sleek modern bimetallic peso. This coin has quietly evolved alongside the Philippine nation itself. It has survived a political upheaval, economic shifts, a technological change. And through it all, Jose Rizal still looks back at us, calm, thoughtful, and resolute. So next time you hear a peso coin hit the table, take a moment. Because you're not just hearing money, you're hearing history.